Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the conversation. Those times where you're like, oh, feeling it? No, 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 no. But the show must go on. So thank you all for coming in. As you come in, make sure you shoot me some hearts. Make sure you like it. Say hello. I'll wave back. I think I have some good stuff, some relatable stuff. I think all, if not most of my content is relatable, but this is particularly near and dear to my heart. Um, I wanted to call this Truth Hurts Thursday because I think we should have a little bit of that in our lives when it comes to um, this conversation under the palm tree. So as you come in here, make sure you say hello, stop in, wave at your girl, and I will make sure that I move along swiftly. No ums, remember, no ums. I need to still get settled. I have one more thing to do before we get started, and I will be right back. That's what was missing, kind of like balance out, you know, the excessiveness of things. You all are probably not used to my hair being straightened. It's either curly or you've seen it in braids, but not straightened. Thank you all for the love on my page with my pictures. I appreciate it. This is like a once a year occasion. So I try to make sure that I treat myself just a little bit. Got my nails done and my feet done. So it's a treat, especially winter time. That way my hair does not fall out. But anywho, we're gonna just jump into the conversation. But as per usual, I do want to share some experiences that I've had that attribute to this conversation. So on Saturday, I attended what was called a Black Business Women's Rock event. It was founded by Natlin Randall, who had this vision. God gave her this vision to help Black business women to network with a faith-based undertone. But this particular event that I attended was the first, I'm sure, of many that will be traveling, that honed in on the experience of women and what we go through and the necessity of telling our stories. And so there were about 8 women, different ages, who shared their story. And they were transparent, they were open, they were real, they were nothing but the truth, to the point of near awe and oh my gosh, I can't believe they're sharing this detail of their experiences. But it was jam-packed with emotion, also with life, also with a fervency and an energy, just a uplifting way about it that really, really was just encouraging. And it reinforced in me the reason why I established Conversations Under the Palm Tree. And I don't even know why I'm getting emotional, but I am. Hey, Jerica, welcome to the conversation. But it just reignited what I thought was seemingly getting dim, because quite honestly, I felt like the women in the mask, and as they were sharing their stories, they wore masks. They shared their stories, the depth of the stories, from everything from abuse to molestation to rape, of all sorts. And I know some people will think, and I'm like jumping ahead of myself because, I always have kind of like a plan or a strategy in mind of what I want to cover on tonight. But so many people think the harshness of your story makes your story. And that's not necessarily the case. Just because you didn't have a big dramatic experience does not mean that you don't have a story to tell. Because there is something that God delivered you from or through that could speak life to somebody else's experience, that could bring hope to somebody else's challenges that they too can get through. I mean, what did Obama do? Gave every little Black kid the mindset that I could achieve anything. I could even be president. So when you think about your story and what you have to share and what you have to contribute, don't downplay it when you listen to someone else's. And it made me think about it because my mom, she was there at the event, as well as my youngest sister and my niece. And so we were hearing all these stories, and people were just sharing just raw truths. And it was just like, oh my goodness. And my mom was like, I don't really have a story to tell. And I was like, Mom, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I don't want to share her story, but just how she grew up and how she had to be the mother to her two brothers at the time when her mother was not in her life because she was out doing what she wanted to do. So that is a piece of my mom's story that really, I don't want to say groomed her, but that's a part of her that I'm sure has developed her, helped her to grow in some aspects, while also have had some hindrances because there were some things that she missed in growing up with her mom in her life on a consistent basis. So it's just, whereas I have the opposite experience, like I didn't have my dad in my life consistently. He was in and out, still love him, of course. But yet I have the pinnacle of my mom in my life. So that's my story. So it's just the opposite. So it's for her to say like, gosh, I don't think I have a story. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be so over the top that people are like, oh my gosh, like she been through it, because everybody's been through something. And I know it's not scriptural, but God won't put more on you than you can bear, that whole little thing. And I believe there's truth to that, because just like I talked about justice and fairness on last week, the justice of the thing is that God sees us all as his children, but he has an impact that he wants each of us to make through the way we live our lives. We each have a purpose that we're supposed to be fulfilling. We each have a destiny that we're supposed to get to in order to lift that other person up, in order to have our children see us reach successes so that they too can follow in our footsteps to achieve those things. I was a first generation college student, but of course my mom, in her feisty little way, decided that she wanted to also pursue college too, and tried to beat me to the finish line, but she did not. But back to my experience at the Black Business Women's Rock. And if you're not familiar with it, please do look it up. Like I said, the founder is Nadlin Randall. She's actually one of my mother's high school friends. And so that's how they know each other. And so we're constantly supporting her as she travels now to different places. She's going to be hosting her conference in Houston. So if you're available, I want to say, gosh, I had the calendar. I'll have to put it in here or just remind me in the comments. But that is something that she has going. It's founded primarily in Los Angeles, California. So if you're interested, please do. She has a website. Everything that you need to know about her events are there. But that experience alone really like set the tone in reminding me of, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. What I'm saying, what I'm sharing is not going to be for everybody, and I need to be okay with that. And for those people who chime in and are a part of the conversation and have an interest and find value in what I'm saying, God bless you. Not that I don't extend blessings for those who don't want to be a part of the conversation, but nonetheless, I appreciate your support. Even I would say in these early stages, y'all A1s from day one, and I appreciate it. So thank you for being a part. Hey, Robin. Hey, Harmony. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. But I wanted to highlight or shout out some of the women who shared their stories. And one of those is Sabrina Reese. She's actually a motivational coach and a speaker. So she can be also found on Facebook. Aisha Goodall, she's actually a fitness consultant, also located in California. Shidell Watkins, she's also located in California and did also share her story as well. And then Sharika Nicole, she shared her story as well. She has a boutique and she talks about trusting the process. And she has this book, which is on the cover of this video. Define, Plan, Execute. This is a planner. It's your vision planner here. Now, I've cracked it open just a little bit just to kind of see what it's about because I am eager to get started with it. I don't want to claim this, but I'm partially a planner junkie. Somewhat, I could get up to maybe 5 a year because it's just like, oh, I've written in this. I don't want to anymore. This one is better. But I actually want to process through, because she talks about trusting the process through this. It involves scripture. It asks you to make an expectant list. What are your expectations? What is going to be exceedingly abundantly above all you can think or ask, scripturally based. It has a component where you can self-examine, a vision board section, monthly focus, reminders from God, even reminders about exercise and drinking water. It's stuff that you can kind of like fill in. Again, it has the basic framework of define, plan, and execute, DPE. And so I'm eager to get into this. So if you're interested, Sharika Nicole, I could definitely put some of their information in my happenings that I have going here. And so in my normal fashion, I want to talk about story. I'm one for definitions. A story, hey cousin Lynette. So a story is an account of past events in someone's life, the evolution of something. And when I read that, I'm like, oh my goodness. It's when you think about a story, it evolves. There's a growing capacity to it. It's gradual development. It has it goes from simple to complex. And that's exactly what each of our stories are all about. It will start small, but then it will gradually grow as we grow as individuals. And I think each person's story or each person's process has an element to it for you to grow. And if you don't grow, that means there's a issue with the process. There's an issue with the story that needs to be rectified and fixed. Otherwise, we keep on repeating the same things over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And in some people's minds, they know that as insanity. Yes, this is factual insanity. So constantly, I find myself, if I'm being completely honest, in an insane pattern where I'm repeating the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's really not the lives we should be living, because if we're really going to be sharing our stories like we should be to help people come out of their situations, to extend a hand to pull people up, then we can't keep repeating the same things over and over again, because then they won't get their deliverance. Not putting all the onus on you as the individual, because scripture talks about the planting, the watering, and then God gives the increase. We each have a part in that when it comes to somebody, one, coming to the faith, and two, growing in the faith. So we each play a role, but it's so necessary for us to get in a position or a place in God that we need to be in order to see things happening, not only in our lives, but in the lives of those that either we're connected with or not, just for our true purpose to be fulfilled. Miles Monroe talks about the difference between dying full and dying empty. And I'm assuming that a lot of people have heard, like, the richest place on earth is the grave, because so many dreams have died there. But if we were to really take advantage of the time that we have, let's just say in retrospect of the recent passing of Kobe and Gigi, I mean, I kind of have to bring it up. We have to make sure that we're putting our all out there so that people can receive from what we have. And our position, one of my friends, Jerica, I believe she's still in here, she said something tonight about what she watched, a sermon she watched by Michael Todd that says, perception will define your position. What you perceive where you are, that's the position in which you'll be in. If your perception is off track, now perception is based on your five senses. So if your perspective is off track by any means, then your position will be as well. So we have to have a better way to live our lives fuller, and in such a way that through that living we're growing and we're sharing our story and we're contributing our story to the world. And again, going back to why I originally established this was to share my story, and hopefully in time to get people to come on board to share their stories as well. Because again, not everybody's going to be receptive or want to hear what I have to say or how I say it, or whether or not they enjoy it or not. I would say I don't care, but I still haven't quite got delivered from people just yet. I'm working on that. But I would want other people to be a part of the conversation so that there can be some breakthrough in somebody's life that maybe normally I wouldn't touch, just me being on here and communicating with you all this evening, or in the future, or in the past. So, yeah. But and also wanted to bring a little spin to it, that your story is also your testimony of God's love and his faithfulness. Your story is also elements, if not your full purpose. If I don't share my story, I'm not living in my purpose. And I believe that is a component of a very great component of who we are, what we find passionate. There is a quote by Frederick Buechner, one of my favorite ones, and I can't remember verbatim, but pretty much it says, your calling is where the world's greatest, excuse me, I'm trying to remember, where the world's greatest hunger and your passion meet. That's where your purpose, that's where you're called. So if your passion is, let's just say, homelessness, getting people off the street, helping people to find shelter and getting into good homes and getting back on their feet. If your passion is that is a hunger that the world needs, because maybe you experienced homelessness and it brought you down to the lowest of the low, and you felt defeated, and you felt like you weren't good enough or couldn't get out of your situation. But that's that passionate part of you that you don't want to see people that way. And that is a great hunger that the world needs fulfilled. And if you're not there to share your story or your testimony or fulfill that purpose, yeah, somebody might come along to help in a sense, or they might have a similar purpose or passion, but you will draw a certain type of people. You will draw a certain type of grouping that's just going to need your voice. And that's why it's so important, again, to share your story, because your voice will be the trigger or be the sound that sets people free. And I'm hoping that is the case for people that I have connected with, or people who have decided to be a part of these conversations, whether that's one time or on a weekly basis or every so often, whatever that looks like for you. However I can speak into you and give you life to light up a bit, I am happy to be that for you. Also, your story is your platform. That is where you are confident in, because it's your story and nobody can tell it like you. That's the truth. Oh, hey, Angelina, how are you? Your story is your platform, and then nobody can tell your story like you can. Just plain and simple. Nobody's going to be able to, in a sense, share it and relive it in such a way that's going to pull on the heartstrings of someone else. And then last thing, your story is a footstool, excuse me. Psalms 110, I believe, and 1, is it? Yeah, 110 and 1 talks about God making our enemies our footstool. But when I thought about it a little bit deeper, our stories or issues or instances where we're challenged, where it builds our story, those things are what's going to give us the step to get to our next thing, to get into position, to change our perspective so that we can be properly placed where we need to be, so that we can share our story, that we can grow and build in our purpose, and that we can do what we've been called on this earth to do. And as I said before, for those who don't feel like they have a story or a purpose or something that they can contribute that gives value to the next person, because remember, we're not on this earth solely to be us. Just, hey, I'm Jaleesa and it's all about me. No, we're built for connection. We're built to grow together. We're not built to be in silos. And unfortunately, the world has put us in that place, and so many issues socially and politically have put us in a place that causes separation and division. But we're called to be connected. We're called to be unified under a kingdom, if I'm being specific and biblical. And so for that, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, but like I was saying, for those who don't feel like they have a story, they do have something to contribute to the whole. There you go. You do have something to contribute to the whole. Angelina, you said something. I think that's what distracted me. What is it? Aw, I'm so happy you got on too. She was gonna go to sleep on me, y'all. But I'm so happy that you came in here to be a part of the conversation. Thank you so much. Love you, girl. When you think about the things that you've gone through, because I talked about this at one of the very early episodes in season 1. Can you believe that? Season 1. And I talked about things that you've prayed through and things that you had to pray out of. And so I'm sure each and every person who is a believer, who's on the sound of my voice, has asked God, get me through this thing. God, get me out of this thing. And we always go through the pattern of why God, but rather, what God? What do you want me to learn from this? How am I supposed to grow from this? And so on and so forth. Those moments are moments where you can share that story for somebody to get that push of faith, like, I can get through this. I can make this. I don't have to be conquered by my feelings. I don't have to be conquered by the things that I'm facing. I can get through this because such and such did. They overcame. Now I can do it too. Hey, Shannon, welcome to the conversation. And so I trust and believe that each person has a story. And also, and when I say this, and I'm saying this with all transparency too, because we will get on a platform like this, for example, and wear a mask. I will admit, I have done it. I would consider myself an imposter. Yes, I would consider myself an imposter. The scriptures that I share, I'm a believer. I love God with all my heart. But I don't do what I believe I should be doing, or what the word says that I should be doing that confirms my love for God. I'm not reading every day. Let's just be honest. I pray probably over my food every day, and maybe a little bit in tongues on my way to work, but like intentional, pure, unfiltered prayer, even sometimes snotting it all out, I don't do that on a regular basis. And to me, that's an imposter. But I feel like if we all were to take our masks off, that's easier said than done. If we were to take our masks off and really tell our story and be honest and transparent about the experiences that we do have, I think we would have freedom in sharing our story. There would be freedom in our minds, because I'm sure, and I will admit, like, I don't I get on here with a plan because sometimes I'm afraid of what I'm going to say if I don't have a plan, because I have not spent the time, like I said, I've desired with God so that he can give me the words, that he can give me the exact thing that I need to share to that one person, maybe one person that's going to come on here and be affected positively, because my goal, my vision is to be an influencer of change, an agent of change, to be able to help people to reach their greatest potential, to identify their dreams, to revive their dreams, and then bring them into a reality. That is my goal. And it's really hard for me to fulfill that goal if I'm not walking the walk and talking the talk. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest. And sometimes I have to remind myself of my own story, what I've come through, what I've been delivered from, the things that try to keep me bound, and say, Jaleesa, you've come out of that thing. You need to do better. You need to do better, because I'll be in a stuck place. Like, again, being truthful, transparent, I'm in a stuck place where I know I should be a lot further along when it comes to my walk with God. Truth be told, because I know that my future, I was going to say my future is not going to wait for me, but my future is dependent on my growth. It's dependent on me getting to a place in God that when I have a spirit like this, or people to talk to, that I'm the teacher, that not necessarily I'm being taught, but that I have the authority in my own mouth to be able to share my story, to be able to share how God has brought me through, and to be confident in that thing. Because again, your story is your story. You there's a confidence in that you can't take from anybody. Now, the confidence to get to a place to actually share it and feel comfortable in it, and be okay with it. I know people have testimonies about coming out of domestic violence, and the embarrassment and the shame that comes out of that, or just unfaithful situations, and coming out of that, and finding like, gosh, like, why did I stay? So many things attribute to that experience that you cannot explain. A heaviness, burdens that come from that experience that you cannot just pray away. That comes out through prayer and fasting. Our belief is built up through prayer and fasting. And so, hey, Nicole, welcome to the conversation. Hi, Diamond, how are you? And Sonia, welcome. Thank you all for being a part. But I wanted to reiterate, Cousin Curtis, I wanted to reiterate the power of our story and how that can really help people be pulled out from a situation and be pulled out from circumstances that they never thought they would be in themselves. And then when we share that piece about us and how we got through, about how we made it, and about how we can partner up with them, that's the thing. A lot of it is accountability. We don't have a partner that we can be, that we can say, I am your confidant, or they can say, I'm your confidant, so that if you're going through this thing and this accountability issue, I can help keep you consistent. I can help keep you disciplined. And then we settle. And I read this quote today and I was like, oh my goodness. When we settle, you find people who settle at the bottom. When there's something in like a water or a drink, let's just say you get some natural product or something that's a drink, that's a blended smoothie, a lot of that stuff settles at the bottom. It's at the bottom. Y'all realize that? It's at the bottom. When you settle, you automatically put yourself at the bottom of things. And it's just like, goodness, if we were to just realize how, one, effective our story is, how, two, the growth necessary, or the evolution process that comes with learning from the things that we experience, then we would come to our purpose probably a lot sooner. We would come to more clarity about how to operate in that purpose. We would just have a little bit more peace about, and soundness about, okay, God, this is what you told me to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And this is how you're going to get me to the people I need to get to be able to deliver this message, and be receptive and hearing to what God has to say. Hey, Kanisha, welcome to the conversation. And so, gosh, I'm just like, I feel like I'm all over the place now. But again, this is the root. This is where we are when it comes to conversations under the palm tree. It's about my story. It's about your story. So please, like, if you want to anonymously share your story with me through Messenger, I would be happy to pose the question to people in the conversation and build content around it about how we can help support you in your season, getting unstuck. And I think that's a lot of times we're so used to being on autopilot. We're so used to just doing the same old, same old. Again, that's me. I get up in the morning. I'm not getting up to go to prayer. I'm getting up to get in the shower, to get dressed, then to go to work. And then praying sometimes on my way to work because I got like an hour commute. It's not intentional. And I desire to be intentional, but we get so used to the day in, day out, just doing what we need to do to survive, that in seeking God, in prayer, in hearing him, he will give us the provision so that we ain't working for nobody. But we can't hear. We're so busy being focused on this job. I got to maintain it. I got to do this. I got to do that, that God wants to tell us or give us insight into the ideas that will give us wealth, that will bless us and our families, generations after generations, that we leave a legacy beyond just, oh, I'll work for this company for 25 years. That's great. And that's fine and dandy and retire. But when you really are operating and working in faith and in ministry, there's really no such thing as retiring. Let's just be honest, because you're still working your faith, you're still working your purpose, and that just doesn't go anywhere. But now I'm rambling. I think I've gotten to the point of this conversation coming to an end. I thank you for all of those who tuned in this evening. I truly appreciate your being a part of the conversation. This is much longer than I'm used to, probably about 8 minutes longer. Yes. 7 to 8 minutes longer than I'm used to. But again, this is the root of why we have conversations under the palm tree. And I'm so grateful for everybody who tunes in either on a weekly basis, every so often, who views on YouTube. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is where you can catch at least season 2 of Conversation Under the Palm Tree. Awesome. The retirement statement resonated. I'm grateful. And you can also like and share. Be sure to communicate what's going on. I have taken a break from school, so I'm hoping to invest more time in God, first of all, and second of all, into building conversations under the palm tree so that there's more. Because there's always more. There's always ways you can improve and do better. So again, thank you all for being a part of the conversation. I hope you all have a blessed evening. Y'all know my bloopers is on the way. So pause. Good night, all.